Does bargain online marketplace Temu have the discount detailing tools to keep the average sponge jockey or even the esteemed cleaning guru satisfied? Well, I just so happen to have a boot full of their Ziploc goods to put to the test, so stick around to find out, as well as for access to a substantial 50% discount code to apply to whatever tickles your fancy. So if you're not already aware of Temu, it's a sizable online marketplace that sells a vast array of affordable products that are regularly discounted with coupons and site-wide sales that can provide savings of up to 90%. And that, plus free shipping and returns, has meant that unsurprisingly the online shopping platform has become a go-to destination for millions. Temu recommends you download their app to not only get the best shopping experience but also qualify for 50% off, which new users can do with the discount code JOY5873. But before you go ahead and do that, let me first put the complimentary stuff I bagged to use both on my own motor as well as my neighbour's new car to try and give you a good idea of what to expect from the interior and exterior car care categories. So to kick things off, we have this nice compact expandable hose pipe complete with quality brass fixtures and fittings, which was ordered to replace the tatty old plastic coupled one that I've had for years. Now the 125 foot option I went for here was listed for around £30, which I think is pretty decent value, especially when compared to a traditional hose reel of equivalent size, and should provide more than enough tap to car length for most cleaning situations while still being small enough once drained to stow in the top of a stacked bucket. So if, like me, you're one for compact cleaning solutions, would recommend checking out expandable items like this on Temu, as they've got tons of them to choose from. To go with the new expandable hose pipe, I picked up this sleek looking aluminium bodied spray gun to use for routine maintenance washing, as it's not always necessary or favourable to power up the heavy pressure washer. A soft touch lock-in trigger can be effortlessly activated and deactivated at the flick of a finger, and 3 different spray patterns means that you can bucket fill and froth sufficiently pre-rinse product and then gently post-rinse suds with minimal splashback and without having to switch anything up. But practical features aside, I just really like how it looks and feels in the hand compared to other plasticky garden centre gun solutions. So we'll definitely be keeping it to hand for use on all areas of my own car and possibly some parts of other people's too. While we're on wet themed wash products, this 2 litre foaming pump sprayer that was listed for less than a tenner I think is definitely worth a mention. Now I'm well aware these things are currently all the rage for applying stuff like dedicated wheel cleaners, but they can also be a cheap alternative to a pressure washer powered foam bottle for blanketing either specific parts or even all of your car over. So it might be worth considering if you don't have a dedicated bottle or just need an additional solution to use in unison with the one you already rock. And again, there's plenty of different types and sizes listed on Temu for you to peruse. Sticking with plastic-based physical hardware then, I also bagged this Guru Blue bucket caddy as it looked to be a bit more practical than the basic one I've been using previously. While it can house anything wash related that will fit, most people will want to use it for strategic wheel brush placement, as there's nothing more frustrating than swilling around in a cold bucket of suds looking for that one specific item that doesn't want to be found. But with dedicated small brush holders on the outer edge of this particular caddy, for the sake of less than £10, that no longer has to be an issue. Now, speaking of brushes, I bagged a fair few to feature here, including this handy little kit that comes with 3 different detachable heads as well as a 45-degree neck to make accessing both interior and exterior nooks and crannies a breeze. Now, I personally reserve the feather tip head for interior dusting, especially of easily scratched surfaces, and utilise the other two for exterior applications. But the beauty of a set like this is that you can mix and match on the fly to suit whatever it is you're doing. But regardless of how you personally head things up, it's exactly stuff like this that you might not normally consider or even know exists that Temu is great at serving up. So I also went with a couple of traditional type super soft detailed brushes, which, let's face it, when it comes to safely tickling a car's surfaces over, you can never really have too many of. I tend to use the shorter handled ones on the interior where space and manoeuvrability can often be tight, while putting the longer ones to use on the exterior, whether that be for gently agitating badges or wheel faces over, for example. But the point is, as a detailing staple that you do really need a certain amount of in order to be able to safely tackle a car, branded items can often be expensive, so it's good to have an option to pick a few cheaper priced ones up that will do just as good a job. Now, if you want to take your super soft brushing to a more macro level, and these compact crevice brushes which came in a pack of 3 for less than a £5 might be just the ticket. Lightly carried over from the beauty industry, their skin-friendly bristles are perfect for the dry dusting of tight or tricky areas, or if you don't mind getting them wet, could be put to use gently but thoroughly cleaning the seams, cracks and crevices of soft leather seats. Their small size means that after use they could be left inside the car for impromptu dusting or crumb removal, but personally once I'm done with the full size cars, I'll be taking them indoors to dust off the fiddly components of the smaller scale plastic ones. So from miniature items to extra large ones, the last brush I asked for to feature here was this handy soft synthetic bristled palm one. I reckoned you could find plenty of uses for across both the interior and exterior. Primed with an appropriate cleaner, it'd work well for gently cleaning leather in a quick all-encompassing manner, which is mostly what I put it to use for on my own stuff here, as despite being quite clean to begin with, still hadn't been treated to anything other than a light vacuum for months. Then when washing the outside, things like fiddly grills that a traditional mitt might struggle to adequately access could be relatively quickly tickled over, as to be honest could pretty much any other exterior surface of a car, as these super soft bristles are likely just as forgiving, if not more so, than a plush microfiber. But either way, for around the £10 mark, this chunky brush is definitely worth having to hand. To help mop up the interior froth I'd created a bit earlier, I had a few small general purpose microfiber towels which, much like staple detailed brushes, you can never really have too many of. Now, while bigger plush towels are great, sometimes they can actually be a bit of a hindrance when it comes to taking care of the smaller details, which is where something more handy and manageable like this comes in, whether it be for badges, bits of trim or glass. But as long as you have a few of them to hand, which I did here, they're also perfectly capable of eliminating cleaning residue from larger areas too. And much like some of the other tools and products featured here, there's a multitude of general purpose towels like these to choose from on Temu, so do take a look for yourself as and when you need to stock up. Moving back onto exterior based products for the remainder of the video then, I first had a plush 5-finger dual-sided microfiber wash glove to quite literally get to grips with. Now, while something like this might initially seem a bit gimmicky, if you like to get hands on and fingers in when washing like I do, then the added dexterity and practicality it can provide compared to a more traditionally shaped wash mitt actually makes perfect sense. It essentially eliminates the need to have separate brushes to hand to access exterior nooks and crannies, which could save you both time and money in the long run, while still of course remaining perfectly capable of tending to the more open areas as well. So with that being said, would highly recommend giving one a go, whether for washing your own car's familiar surfaces over with or someone else's unfamiliar ones. You'll almost certainly have gritty hoses of one kind or another knocking about when washing your car. And one thing you can definitely do without is them getting caught under the tyres and potentially flailing up onto the wheels or bodywork while you move about. And these small hose rollers that simply wedge in by hand instantaneously solve that third world snag. I only ordered the one for illustrative purposes here, so make sure you up the quantity to 4 before adding to your basket. But as you can see, they work a treat, and with multiple colours to choose from, you can colour code to your car, your brand, or even just mix and match. With the wash utensils adequately put to the test, it was time to wrap things up with some remaining microfiber, starting with a nice large plush drying towel. While twist loops are currently the go-to, I still think there's definitely a place for more traditional microfibers like these, as they're softer and more forgiving on the surface, plus they can be wrung out halfway through if needs be, which twist loops can't. However, with this thick item measuring 60 by 90 centimeters, unless you're drying a bus or something, you probably won't need to. Now, I found this listed at a highly discounted cost and did genuinely need a nice new towel, so adding it to the complimentary wish list here was a no-brainer. With the previous mention of twist loop towels, I had actually grabbed myself a couple of smaller examples to deploy here, as they can be great for quickly soaking up residual rinse water from areas like wheels and door shuts that you might not want or realistically be able to run a full-size towel over. As you can see, a quick swipe and wipe is generally all it takes to leave surfaces as dry as they realistically need to be. And while they might not be the most glamorous or satisfying parts to take care of, still need doing if you're to avoid unsightly spots and streaks. So for me, it makes perfect sense to have at least a few of these towels to hand for quickly boxing them off. The final few towels and last thing on the Temu ticket to put to the test then was a 6-pack of plush buffing towels. And while you can buy them all in one specific shade, I went with the multicoloured option here, as I like to try and colour code with product and process to prevent cross-contamination and final buffing woes that can often occur if you lose track of exactly which towel has been used for what. Now, although I was only buffing away some light paste wax residue and wet protectant spray for the sake of some satisfying video shots here, at 16 by 16 and 450 GSM, they seem to be the perfect size and weight for final wipe down work, so we'll definitely be keeping them at the top of the pile for use again in the near future, whether that be on camera or off. So while everything I selected to feature here seemed to work pretty well, if I had to pick a few personal favourites, I think I'd go with the sleek hose gun for its precise trigger switch and shower-like spray pattern, as well as the detachable head brush kit, which pretty much has all dusting and cleaning avenues covered in one small box. But favourites aside, it can all be found linked in the description below, as can a link to download the Temu app, which when used in conjunction with the discount code being shown on screen now, can bag you a whopping 50% off any treasures you find. Now, that's all from me, so cheers to Temu for the complimentary tools and products, cheers to you for tuning in, and of course cheers to the scaffolders, the tree chippers and the wheelie bin washers that made this one such a joy to try and record.